Alright, what's going on, you guys? This is Kevin, Full Metal Ginger, and I've got another collection update to do for you today. Well, what do you know? A whole bunch of material that's been stacked up in here forever, waiting on me to do a video on it forever. But yeah, this one kind of actually worked out for me in my favor. Everything we're going to be talking about is stuff I've been listening to pretty frequently over the last couple weeks, so going to put this video together, I was actually really excited to talk about this one in particular, so should be fun. It will for me anyway. I don't know if you'll find anything you like, but we'll find out, I guess. And another thing too, trying to continue my trend of having a nice mixed bag of material to work with on here. I don't know, I get bored very easily, so if I'm doing a video of only black metal, for example, I'll be sitting here, researching and listening to black metal album after black metal album, and just, sometimes I just don't get motivated enough, and then by the time I am, it's been several weeks since I've, played any of this, so it's not familiar to me anymore, especially if I've been listening to a lot of other things. So this is just for me personally. I'm not saying I won't go back to, having straight one genre videos, but this just helps me to keep putting out content. So if you guys are cool with that, I'm definitely down, so let me know how you feel about it. Before we start looking at the music, I had something really cool I wanted to talk about, just because it's really personal for me. My wife got me this for my birthday yesterday. This is a 5-part mini-series, and it's done very well. This is Chernobyl, which came out on HBO, I don't know when, and I'd never even heard about it. Apparently we're the only family in America that doesn't have HBO. But it's a very well done series so far anyway. I'm only on like the 3rd episode. But it's just basically chronicling everything from the Chernobyl disaster. Tie-in for me personally, I was actually born the day that explosion happened. So that was always kind of like, the worst human disaster of all history, of all time, and I happen to be born on that particular day. Do I carry failure in my wake? Yeah, that's me, the things that spin around in my head. But yeah, I mean, it's really well done. It kind of gives you more of a feel for what happened, in the technical aspects of things, and then the the overall effect on human life. So yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying it, so check it out. I mean, there's obviously a DVD for it. Shouldn't be too difficult to find, but yeah, I've always found this particular event just fascinating, just because I was like, oh, this is the same day I came into the world. Neither here nor there. Alright, let's talk about some music. Our soundtrack today, a band that I'm trying to catch back up on this one too. Some really good traditional heavy metal with some doom in it. This is Hour 13. I believe this is just a compilation of demos, alternate stuff, unreleased material. There's a live, a few live songs on here, I think. So yeah, a band that actually got their start about, I don't know, 45 minutes from me, from where I live, down in Hickory, North Carolina. And I think they've since moved to like San Francisco, I want to say, but I don't know. I've had this in for at least probably a year at this point. This maybe the 3rd time I've listened to it. So yeah, if you haven't noticed in all my videos how far behind I am on talking about things, there's a perfect example. I've been recording this all day long, so if I'm getting really hoarse, that's why. Because I'm a perfectionist and I have to keep re-recording everything until I get it at least somewhat, to the point where I'm happy with it. But anyway, let's talk about some music. So this first one is a band that's been, kind of continuing the trend of, really disgusting, swampy death metal, and in the pestilent death style, or crematory stench, or cerebral rot, stuff like that. And this band, I would put them right up there with them. I believe this is their only material they've got out, actually. This is a demo from Abraded-Descendants of the Swamp. Cleveland death metal, and like I was saying, this is their first and only material as far as I'm aware. Features members of Hemdale, and I think Inoculation, and probably several others. But yeah, I mean, really putrid, heavy, disgusting mid-tempo death metal, which is right up my alley. I mean, this the kind of stuff I've been listening to pretty often over the last year or so. What's really fun about it is it sounds like a live album. I guess just the way it was mixed. The snare sound, the drums overall, but the snare in particular is very prominent in this. The solos also, when you occasionally hear a solo, it really pops out at you. And I'm really digging Nick's vocals. Honestly, reminds me a lot of Jason from Torture Rack. in that he's very guttural, but not quite down low, you know, with like the brutal death stuff. So it's kind of like that next tier up. And that's, you know, some of my favorite vocal style, really. Yeah, but just really having a lot of fun with this one. Honestly, if I could come up with any sort of comparison, I would probably say like a less refined, less sharp style of Torture Rack, you know, where Torture Rack is very fast, you know, very methodical in their approach. The riffs are very tight. This one sounds, you know, sort of like the same tone, but, you know, more Knuckle Dragon, more Caveman, more Swamp, that kind of thing in there. So I've had a lot of fun listening to this. So this is the, came out originally on Aggressively Uninterested. This is the Maggot Stomp reissue. My only knock on it, and I don't want to talk crap about Maggot Stomp because I love that label, but this is like one of the worst digipacks I've ever seen in my life. This is going to fall apart eventually. I mean, you know, it's my fault for buying it, but, you know, it's like, come on, we couldn't do it at least a little better than that. And I'm already, you know, trying to give a lot of space in here so it doesn't just get crushed, but, you know, over the time it's going to get destroyed. But that's like my one knock on it. But yeah, fantastic demo, and I can't wait to see what they're going to come out with next. This next one, I don't know how a lot of you are going to feel about it. For me, it's been a lot of fun listening to it, but it is sort of kind of like a knockoff, but I'll just show it. This is Carnal Ruin with Gnosis of Immortal Domain. It's actually a compilation of their first two demos. Flogger Records put this one out, I think this year, honestly. So it's Tampa death metal, and you've got, you know, their demo from 2018 and 2019 on here. And basically why I think I don't know how you're going to feel about it, but this is an American version of some Swedish death metal. You know, heavy inspiration with, you know, Dismember, Grave, Entombed, stuff like that. But what's, you know, where they make up for their obvious lack of innovation is just some fantastic riffs, man. Everything on here is just really, really good. Very catchy, very easy to get into. And the drumming actually really helps also. I mean, it's just perfect timing, lots of variation in it, straight to the point. And it comes across very nicely, and, you know, it's got like a nice, I mean, they're just really focusing on the hooks and just kind of keeping it interesting. Booklet's pretty cool. You've got the original art for both the demos. Where's that other one? There it is. And here's the band. But yeah, I mean, I would like to see them progress in their sound, but I mean, in all honesty, this kicks ass. You know, it's a good, fun listen. And I do, you know, want to give them credit for not trying to completely rip it off, the Swedish death sound. I mean, it's the riffs, but not the buzzsaw guitars. So it does, in that sense, also keep it a little more fresh. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, for me personally, I don't get tired of Swedish death that often. So, I mean, this is just kind of another one in the line of, you know, here's our version of it. I mean, I don't know how you're going to feel about it, but I'm really digging this. This one is probably well, it's up there. This is, in terms of new releases, this one I've been listening to a lot, and I'm having a lot of fun with this. I'm probably going to get in trouble for showing it, so I'm going to have to be quick about it. But this is the new one from Necro Drunkz with Terminal Perversion. Woo! There you go. Probably about all I can get away with. Yeah, disgusting, grinding, filthy, you know, death thrash out of Portland. Yeah, I mean, pretty similar to Impetigo. I know everyone's familiar with them, and everyone should be familiar with this also. I've been familiar with them forever. I don't know why it's taken me this long to pick up any Necro Drunkz stuff. I'm absolutely a huge fan of this band, so I guess it's going to be like extra motivation to really go out there and get up everything in their back catalog that I need, which is everything. This is the only thing I own from them. But yeah, man, loaded with speed, blasting, rancid vocals. I love how they go out of their way to be as gross as humanly possible. But the most important thing is the music good, and for me it's fantastic. It's top-notch stuff. Very feral sounding material, really out of control all the time, but absolutely insanely hook-laden. I mean, it's just a blast to listen to this. One of the ones that every time I play it, as soon as it ends, I'm hitting repeat and playing it again. I've just been digging the hell out of this lately. The sloppiness is great. I love the humor in this. I mean, it's just, you got some really disgusting song titles. And to top it off, the music is fantastic. It's just horrific sounding, you know, really loud, really grinding, really rotten music. So, there you go. Let's see if I can get through this without screwing it up. I've been saying this for the last hour. This one's one, and I would really like to hear you guys' opinion on this one in particular. Just because, I don't know, I feel like I really like this album, but something's holding it back. This is the debut from Lucifer's Chalice. It's called The Pact. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like horror and occult themed, you know, traditional style heavy metal. I don't want to say it's like Iron Maiden. It sort of is, but they, you know, maybe like Iron Maiden with some pentagram, that kind of thing. And it's a really good album. I really like it for the most part, but you know, the one thing that's killing me on this is the vocals. And I hate to talk shit about a band, but I mean, this could be an absolutely phenomenal album, but the vocals just really hold it back. It's, you know, kind of monotone type of singing. You know, it's, you know, this is a band and a sound that really deserves a singer with a lot of range. And I'm not saying this dude can't sing, but it feels like to me like he's holding back all the time, and it's just like, dude, you should really go for it when you're, you know, it's going to this type of music. You know, it's like Bruce Dickinson without all the range that he has. That's what this feels like. And I'm not saying you need to sound exactly like him and you be able to have all that range, but we could do better than this, honestly. But still, I mean, this is a really good album. The music is killer. There's tons of melody, you know, beautiful leads, great songwriting, and you know, honestly, for me, it gets better every time I listen to it. But I just feel like if the vocals were a little bit better, it wouldn't hold it back so much. But if you've heard this, please let me know what you think, or you know, there's links below like always. You check it out and then tell me what you think from there. But yeah, man, I'm just having a hard time like really fully embracing this. You know, and that's really the only reason, because every time I listen to it, I find, you know, another great hook, or there's like a guitar part that I didn't really pay attention to before. So I don't know. Just really let me know what you think about this. I mean, it's the only thing they have out, so they could definitely improve upon it. So yeah, I'd be really interested to see if they can come up with anything else. I don't know. That's just my take on it. Let me know what you think. We're definitely sure on that one. Alright, got a few more. And this one, picking this one up a while back, it was like, dude, why have I forgotten about this band? A band I was really into around the 2009, 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there. I was listening to them a lot. I never picked up that much, but, you know, it was just kind of like a band I was really digging. And then I saw them live, and then it was just like, yeah, started getting interested in other things, and then just kind of, they went on the back burner. But this is the debut from Broken Hope, Swamped in Gore. God damn, you know, disgusting, really heavy-hitting death metal from Gurnee, Illinois, I believe. This is their debut, if I hadn't said that already. And really cool. I think this is the first death metal album ever to be recorded, you know, digitally, at least all the way through anyway, with no analog in it whatsoever. You know, I've always dug, you know, their heaviness, their, you know, suffocation style of, not style, but you know, the overall tone of their album, but having, you know, not the suffocation style of riffs and everything. They've got their own riffs kind of going on here, and it's just really good stuff. Yeah, you know, I've heard people describe them as being like a boring band, and I was always like, I can kind of see what you're talking about, but for me, it's, you know, some of their albums kind of go on a little longer than they probably need to, and there are one or two that are just kind of snoozers. And it gets worse as they go along, but for me, the first two are fantastic. By the time you get to Repulsive Conception and Loathing, you know, there's a few in there that I don't really mesh with too much, but I mean, they're still killer overall albums. So I think it's, you know, you've got a few boring songs that kind of drag the rest of their discography down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's still a kick-ass band. And in all honesty, I would say, you know, the most boring thing they ever put out was their comeback album, Omen of Disease. I mean, that one was just like 2 or 3 songs on it I liked, and the rest of it was just, I could do without this. But yeah, would have been really cool to see him in the Joe Chek days, or however you say his fucking name. Awesome singer. This is like one of the more, I guess, popular lineups of the band. And I know, I mean, part of like what changed their sound a little bit was probably going through so much turmoil in terms of, you know, band members quitting or getting kicked out. I know Ryan Stanek got kicked out for, you know, keeping all the money for merch and never sending any of the merch out, you know, stuff like that. They've had a lot of things go on with them. But the fact that they're still around in some degree, I mean, it's really cool to see. And yeah, this one's probably my favorite. I need to go back and get all the rest of their material, honestly, but I'll get around to it. Broken Hope, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I would like to argue with you on that one. So I got a couple from the same band here. This is, I believe, their 4th album overall. This is Throneum, or Throneum, however you fucking say it. Deathmass of the Gravedancer. Their 2007 full length, I believe. Yeah, so I think this originally came out on Displeased Records, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, this is the disembodied reissue, which I think is limited, honestly. Maybe 500 copies. I'm not sure. I don't remember seeing it in here. But yeah, awesome band. I'm sure everyone knows this band. Polish Black Death, and just another raw, punishing, super attack type of album, really. And I just, they're a Polish band, but I love how they've got a lot of South American influence in them. They're really kind of, bands from all over the world, so it's like a nice, unique mix of everything, plus putting their own stamp on it. I mean, you've got, a grave desecrator type of sound with, some sadistic execution and maybe perverser. I'll throw that in there. So, I mean, there's a lot going on with this, a lot to unpack, but, it really comes together very well. It's just a very, not to say the same, analogies over and over again, but a very feral sounding album. Just a really unique style, and especially with their, often really dissonant riffs. And, when it comes to, earlier Throneum anyway, this is probably one of my favorites. I mean, I would definitely put it up there with some of the best they've ever put out. So there's that. And this one is actually their most recent, at least until the new album comes out. It may already be out, I'm not sure. I know it's supposed to come out in March or April sometime this year. So, I mean, it may be already out, but this is the most recent before that. This is the Deathrope Pact over Rubicon. Yeah, I mean, this one is definitely a more dark album, more dynamic, really. I mean, even more dissonant record. I mean, there's a lot going on with this one. I do feel like they lost a bit of the, the passionate, the passionate fire they had earlier on. But this is, a good example, a good case of progression in a band that I really enjoy. And I've had a lot of fun listening to this album. It really feels unhinged, like if you had a mental patient was getting ready to lash out at you or something. That's kind of how it feels. Like everything's being held back, and then when it comes out at you, it's just so ferocious and so just out of control all over the place, really. I would definitely prefer their earlier work, in my opinion. But this one is, it's got a lot going on with it. I mean, this one, for me, took me several listens to really kind of break it down and kind of absorb it. I mean, not to say that it was a hard album to get into, but there's so much going on with it that there's a lot of things that you're going to end up missing if you don't just kind of play it over and over again. I mean, there's a lot to unpack here, but it's a kick-ass album. And damn, we went through that pretty quick. I figured this one would take a good 30 minutes. This one is one of the weirdest albums I own, and that's to describe it's going to be a little difficult. Well, I mean, I'll just show it, and I know you're probably not going to be able to see this or make it out, but this is This is Cremation with Black Death Cult. Death metal out of Canada, and this is actually another project from James Reed of, Conqueror and Revenge and all that kind of stuff. Excuse me. This is actually one of the more interesting things he's ever put out. This one is just strange. At least earlier on, it reminds me of like Blessed Are the Sick era Morbid Angel, but with just some hellish vocals, man. I mean, he's just going all over the place with this. And that's really what stands out the most about this release, just that it's, the music is good, but it's nothing you haven't heard before. But when the vocals come in, it's just like, what the fuck was he smoking? I mean, you've got, your traditional vocal or gutturals and high shrieks, but you have like, spoken word stuff. You have whispers. You have like loogie hawking sounds. I mean, this is just some strange stuff, man. But it just really gives it that, otherworldly type of feel and vibe going on with this. Especially, as the demos kind of go on, they get weirder and weirder, and they sort of get away from that Morbid Angel style. And it's just kind of like a really off-putting in a good way, just frantic, I don't know, man. Otherworldly is the only way I can describe it. It's just going all over the place, and it's just kind of hard to keep up with it. It's just one of those things. It's very, very weird, and it definitely took me several listens to really, get this down and really kind of accept it for what it is. But the more I listen to it, the more it certainly grows on me. I mean, there's just demo information pretty much. Yeah, so I mean, I really don't like how this is so dark. I'm trying to get you a good shot of it so you can see it a little better, but there you go. Would highly recommend you check this one out. It came out on Nuclear War Now, and last I checked, they still had copies. I mean, it might still be there, but this is all demos from like between 93 and 95, I want to say, so some of his earlier work. And yeah, this one has been a lot of fun to kind of unpack and kind of draw out everything I could from it. This is just a weird compilation of demos, man. I would definitely suggest you go check this one out. Alright, so that's it. That's all I got for you. I definitely have a couple more updates to do, and the next couple probably are going to be some classic metal reviews. Just really been looking forward to talking about those. I had so much in here, I'm going to have to break it down into a couple videos, but yeah. I'm going to go in here and finish eating my leftover fajitas. Hope you guys have a good one. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time.